Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. Today I'm going to do a video analysis of a album that you may not have heard because it didn't seem to make quite a splash on people, but it probably should have because it's pretty much what I consider the best album after a certain period of a certain artist that I've had some controversy with in the past, because I did do my video a couple years back, which is one of my most watched videos, honestly. But other than like the Manowar video, but I'm talking about this album today, which is the Lost Tracks of Danzig. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because it's kind of something that I've thought about through the years. That I read this interview, and it was back on in the early to mid 2000s, or when this came out. When did this come out? 2007. I'm sorry. So when it came out, there were a couple of reviews, like on Amazon, where there was a proclamation by a few of the reviewers that maybe he doesn't pick his best songs for the albums he's done, and maybe having someone like Rick Rubin or someone like some kind of outside guidance, would help with some of his albums. Because I really haven't liked an album that much since 4. I would say that Circle of Snakes and Death Red Sabbath or whatever, there's always gems on them. It's just not there's no cohesive like album that I really enjoyed since then. And there's always good songs, but regardless of what people think of my Danzig is Done video that I did, I did like the Elvis album, which is surprising because I didn't expect much from that, but it actually overwhelmed my expectations. So I'm going to be talking about this today. So this is essentially, and I probably can't show the inside. Oh, I can't show the inside because it is obscene, but it has pictures and stuff and information on the songs. So one of the things about it is that the first disc is basically an unreleased album from the original lineup, and with maybe a couple extra tracks, I believe. Let's see. So I'm trying to remember. Oh, I'm trying to not show that to the camera. It has a couple of songs that are not related to that, but like it has, let's see what it has here. Deep, which is supposed to be on Danzig 5. Come to Silver, but it doesn't have the distorted vocals. It's from Danzig 5. Warlock. Oh, that's the second disc. I'm sorry. So the first disc has a bunch of songs that were never released, that were probably recorded various times throughout the history. And basically, as a cohesive album, it works as kind of a bridge between Danzig 3 and Danzig 4, in my opinion. So you have like songs like Cold, Cold Rain, it's old school kind of Roy Orbison ballad. Oh, I'm trying to not show this naked pictures in there, because he's obsessed with naked women. There's all over his shirts and stuff. So it's like Pain is Like an Animal. Supposedly it was recorded in the first album. See, the recording sound definitely reminds me of something in between 3 and 4 on the whole this whole first disc. Pain is Like an Animal sounds like something that would be released around that time. Death Had No Name was an early song that he did numerous times. Angel of the Seventh Dawn. It's a good song. You Should Be Dying is pretty good. It's supposed to be on Lucifuge. Cold, Cold Rain is definitely the highlight. So it's a great ballad. And you have, I'm trying to look at this. I bought this many years ago. It's not in the best shape, but another Death Had No Name, but it was like a later version of it. Buick McCain, which is a T-Rex song that they did. Satan's Crucifixion. And it's pretty good. The Mandrake's Cry, I'm trying to remember what that sounded like. That was the one that I didn't remember that well. White Devil Rise, which is a very controversial song because it's kind of a poking fun at Louis Farrakhan. Still a good song, though. And then Deep, I think Come to Silver is the last song on the first disc, I believe. But here's the surprise about this album. So, you basically have a original lineup, unreleased album on it, which is awesome. Hearing John Christ, Eerie Von and Chuck Biscuits on a latter day Danzig album. I think like What Death Had No Name was released several times on singles and stuff, but most of the songs are unreleased. But the second disc is a surprise, and that's where the weird, like, quality control question comes in as far as Glenn goes, because this is all later stuff. This is all post 4, and people are like, the first 4 albums are the best, but like Come to Silver, Warlock, Lick the Blood Off My Hands, and especially Crawl Across Your Killing Floor. That is an awesome song. I Know Your Lie, Cut in My Eyes, a German song. Bound by Blood is like almost a Devil's Plaything sequel. Maleficial Fickle, Who Claims a Soul, is pretty good. Underbelly of the Beast. It has some remixes on it. So essentially the second one is a disc of the latter era with Todd Youth and I think maybe Tommy Victor on a couple songs too. But the variety and the quality of the song, the variety of the different types of songs, plus you have the quality, like even Lick the Blood Off My Hands. I think that was for 777, the 777 album, which I never liked that much. I don't like anything really past 4 all that much. Danzig 6 had some good songs, but you had like songs that were kind of scattered through the album that you would like, or even 7, which I think was my least favorite at the time. Circle of Snakes, I liked a couple of songs, and so did, and the last one I didn't really like at all, but except for the Elvis album, which is after that. But the problem is that I don't know who's picking the songs. I don't know who's telling them, oh, this song will go next to this other one. But the second disc on this set is actually really damn good, and that's the surprise, because I never thought when this came out, I was like, I'm done with Danzig is done. I'm making fun of my video, but I really was kind of done with Danzig. But I heard about the unreleased album from the original lineup, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick that up just for that. And then I found myself liking the second disc even as much as the first one in a lot of ways. So there's something within that, the organization of Danzig that, he's like, I don't think he always picks his best songs. I don't think, and then the variety on that second disc too. It's like, I know he has one univision, as far as when he does an album, but when you listen to the variety tracks, even the industrial tracks kind of make this, there's all these moods and textures and everything with those songs on the second disc, which makes it the second disc worth just as much as the first one. So I highly recommend picking this up for anybody that's a critic of Danzig's later material, like me. Like the first 4 albums, the original lineup is still the best, but there's some really good stuff on that. Rest in peace, Todd Youth too, and he could have been the follow up to John Christ, because on Crawl Across Your Killing Floor and some of the other tracks, he really plays his ass off compared to even on the albums. I haven't listened to some of those albums for a long time, but there's something missing from those albums that's even on the second disc. That's my point. So I don't know if he's saving these souvenir great tracks for another record. There was another song off of Death Red Sabbath. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think he tried to correctly pronounce it once in an interview. That there was this ballad that was supposed to be released on there. I was really excited about the ballad. It's another ballad, like Sistina's or Cold Cold Rain, or what's the one off of the Less Than Zero soundtrack, just like these really old school kind of ballads. And he did another one, but it was never released on the album. So I'm sure he has an archive of stuff still, has a hard drive or something, or whatever he's doing now, because I know he's using digital production a lot of the time, because I could just tell with that's part of my problem with that. Production is very important with a band. Of course, this has some digital, has some analog, of course, a mixture of stuff. It's probably the later stuff. I'm going to look at the later material in here. And try to be careful not to show the nude women that are in the picture. I Luciferi. I think it only goes up to, I thought it went up to Circle of Snakes, but, oh yeah, it did. Yeah. So, it just seems like he could do better with picking the songs for his albums. And that's my opinion. You can feel free to hate my opinion of that, but I just, through the years, if you picked up this album, you're frustrated. There's so much good stuff on here, and it's well worth it. I think it needs a reissue. I don't know if it's a collector's item. I don't have the Hollywood font or whatever that there was, like some, or Disney-ish font or something that Danzig. That's a collector's item, I guess. But for the box set, I also bought his collected lyrics book too. So like I'm a Danzig skeptic because I think he's done. Danzig is done. I did my video years back, but I just meant like it was just more of a proclamation of frustration over the turns his career has made. Fans have been with him for, oh my God, I mean, it's kind of scary to admit that it's been so long, but it has been a long time that I've been following him. But I think it really makes sense to look at things. And the Veronica movie was disappointing too, but I don't know if he was just trying to go for something really cheesy and off the wall. I haven't seen his new movie. I will be seeing it though. I probably will watch it, but it's just frustrating, because so even those early videos, like Mother, for example, he had all the concepts and stuff, but someone else helped him direct it. And it's like, it was kind of creepy, Those early videos had a vibe to them. The Lucifuge era was over the top cheese with the models and stuff, but I mean, it was still kind of like had this vibe, But when he directed Veronica, it's like, yeah, you have that vibe, but it's like the quality of it, just, I don't know. There were some cool concepts, of course, but it just was hard to watch because it's just it's one of those so bad it's good movies, It's just like the new one probably is. I'll watch the new one though. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this, and I might actually be doing a podcast. I have a new podcast coming out, and I'll probably announce it when I'm done with the first episode. And I'm thinking about basing the first episode around this, and it'll just be me on the first episode because I want to get something out there first. But I'm going to be interviewing musicians and so forth on this podcast, and I'm looking forward to it. So I do have another podcast, and I realize my podcast company that I work with as far as doing podcasts has room where you can do more than one on their service. So I'm happy about that, and I'm going to be doing this podcast. So I really do want to interview a lot of bands. I'm friends on Facebook with like a bunch of musicians and people that are kind of, not a bunch, but a few that are really pretty famous, actually. I'm not going to say who, but it's kind of cool because I could probably like instant message them and say, hey, you don't want to do an interview on my podcast. It's kind of neat. It'd be kind of cool to interview some of those people and see what their perspectives are. And I know everybody has a podcast nowadays, but I was doing it like in 2009. I was on this guy's podcast and I was kind of doing some stuff like that. So I'm going to revive that as well. My music podcast I'm going to be doing. No politics on it unless it comes up, somehow haphazardly, but anyways, yeah. So you could be watching for that. I'll probably be talking about this guy because I've just been kind of looking at some of his stuff lately, watching some interviews. I'm just like kind of fascinated by it. So, but that's about all.